Nawa Shina, Punk and Tushina Shavawaki, Shinama Kikirani, Tsai Shavakirani, Tsai Makikirani.
Turkey's great this year.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like it's great again.
Mashed potatoes are good.
Oh, yeah, I got them for cheap. It's almost like grocery prices are going down. That's weird.
Oh, God, this is giving me gas.
Well, you're about to get a lot more gas. Olean. Because prices are going down. So who'd you vote for?
Okay, I'm leaving.
Yep, I cannot wait for Thanksgiving myself. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Rudowski here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we are going to be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now. As, of course, there never is a shortage of things to talk about these days, and it's only going to get crazier from here. As, of course, we have a lot of crazy geopolitical tensions mounting right now with Russia and the United States. Elon Musk might actually be buying MSNBC with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones as some of their top anchors, as all charges are being dropped against Donald Trump. Matt Gaetz is out of the race for Attorney General, as his replacement is saying some very interesting things about the Bill of Rights. Is Jared Kushner involved in all of this, specifically when it comes to picking some of the top members of his administration? Well, we're going to discuss that, as well as some very interesting updates surrounding The Onion and Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who personally had me arrested before with his larger takeover of Alex Jones's empire. We'll be talking about that with Roger Stone, who is late. And we, of course, will be waiting for him to come in studio. As we do, we will ask you guys to please share this broadcast with your friends and family members. It means a lot to us that you do, and it's one of the few ways that this broadcast actually gets out there to the general public. YouTube doesn't really like us as much as they like other content creators. We've been on here for quite a while, and on all the other social media platforms, we're like skyrocketing. We're doing so well, except for this one. So sharing the broadcast really does mean a lot to us, and we definitely appreciate you guys doing that, because if you wouldn't, we wouldn't be here. And it's truly the audience that makes this show as amazing as it is. We have some really great people coming in, some great commentary, some great insight into the deep dives of politics. I'm really curious to ask Roger Stone about what's happening with The Onion, what's happening within the Trump camp. His ear to the ground, absolutely critically important to understanding everything, as of course you will also get the opportunity to talk to Roger Stone just by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. We got a lot of really cool things going on LukeUnfiltered.com. A lot of members videos. We now have doubled the amount of members videos that we have for just you, members of LukeUnfiltered.com. Now we do 6+ videos a week just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We got some really good ones still coming out with Dr. Simon Gudik, some really hilarious and fascinating ones that I think you guys will enjoy. And after this broadcast, we're going to do another very special broadcast just for members with Roger Stone, asking him his most controversial opinion. And by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com, again, you get access to a Telegram channel. On that Telegram channel, you get the ability to call in and ask us whatever you want. We are also going to be giving free products from wearechanged.shop to members who call in for the first time, and we will be doing our best to read any and all super chats, but we prefer you guys check out Streamlabs, which only takes a 3% service charge rather than a 30% YouTube service charge. As we also have SaveLukeNow.com running, which is my legal defense fund, so I don't go to jail. And that has not been a fun situation to deal with. If you like what we do and want to get some limited edition memorabilia, go to SaveLukeNow.com and get yourself some limited edition products that are only available for a limited time as we try to raise money to financially get us out of the larger IRS hole and attack that has been placed on us. We're going to get a lawyer. We'll fight it. We'll hopefully still be around. It's an uphill battle. There's a lot of things that have happened this year that have been very difficult to deal with, but truly, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys being a part of this broadcast. So sincerely, thank you so much. Thank you also to Speedy Gonzalez's relative, Marta Bueno, who has been helping us tremendously during this time as well. Martha, who are you other than Speedy Gonzalez's nephew?
Listen, excuse me. Speedy Gonzalez is Mexican and I'm Cuban, okay? You need to
Potato,
learn.
potato. It's
You
like
need to
south of the
learn.
border. It's all the same thing. You guys like rice and beans.
This is true.
Right.
Mexicans do like spicy foods, and Cubans were not really known for that. But other than that, I'm Martha Bueno, and you can find me on X at Bueno for Miami, and I'm here on Luke's show every now and then.
Yep, Eliza Trainer also in the house here. You've heard a lot about her. She also is one of the people that has kind of come into my life, helped me out tremendously, along with Stephanie as well, who has part of her camera blocked for some reason.
Her laptop.
Yeah, you want to move your laptop. There we go. We could see you there. Liza, for the people who don't know who you are, who are you? And speak into the mic.
I'm just Liza Trainer. I'm one of Luke's friends now, and I build crazy stuff for crazy people that can't buy these things anywhere. So.
Yes. You built a custom Epstein Island with a killdozer running through it in the back right there next to my flamethrower, which is pretty impressive. And we got to write wearechange.shop on there. And thank you so much for all of the stuff that you have done for us, because this studio wouldn't be as awesome if it wasn't for you. And we custom built everything here. It was a lot of work. How was it working with us city slups?
Well, it was definitely an adventure working with you, Luke.
Yes, but she was surprised how handy I was and how,
yeah.
Was
how
she
efficient
really?
I was.
I don't know about that, Luke.
Not really.
She was. Listen, did the job get done?
Yeah.
She was surprised. That doesn't mean that she was.
I'm a natural born carpenter, all right? I nailed all these shelves in, right? Mm-hmm. Right, Liza?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Steph did some of the work too.
Yep. I was a very good assistant.
Actually, when you were out of town, we had a blast working on a lot of this stuff.
Ooh.
So yeah, Steph, keep going.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Steph. We are Change, pushing the buttons, ready to get into it.
Steph's going to be hosting the conversation this Wednesday, by the way. We're very excited about that. She's just found out about that herself as she brought
Yeah,
in
right.
a guest.
Where are you going?
You're hosting the conversation Wednesday. Who's coming on Wednesday?
Oh yeah, that's this week.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You're
see.
hosting the show.
I'm hosting.
Who's
it.
coming
I'm
in on
pushing
Wednesday?
buttons. No, I mean we have Don Kalam coming. I don't know if anyone has heard of Don Kalam, but I'm super excited, and you should be too. Go check him out.
And then Gary's the numbers guy is on tomorrow. That should be an interesting show as well. But let's just get into it. There's so many different things to talk about here as Roger Stone deals with Miami traffic. Is of course we have a lot of crazy developments, specifically geopolitical developments happening right now as NATO is warning businesses to prepare for war. Dutch Admiral Rob Boer, the military chief of NATO, is urging businesses to prepare for wartime scenarios by, quote, securing production and supply lines to counter potential blackmail from Russia and China. I think China is going to be the more important kind of aspect here out of all of this, since they have essentially set up a Belt and Road initiative that has allowed them to secure a lot of natural resources that they're able to, of course, trade on the international markets that they are now absolutely dominating. Russia also has been securing a lot of resources, particularly in Africa, to the point where France is now kind of wondering, where are we going to get our raw minerals to run our nuclear reactors? As this is also another national security issue. As, of course, if there is full-on war, it's not going to look good. It's going to be very difficult, as most wars are pretty much fought along trade lines, trade routes, and trade will be disrupted, as we have seen from previous wars, from previous conflicts, and we could definitely expect a lot of economic upheaval, if not utter devastation of the entire world many times over. But why aren't we, the American people, hearing about this as the Europeans are kind of preparing for it, as the United States is, I think, one of the biggest escalatory actors here in all of this that are really kind of creating a very weird situation for the incoming president of the United States, Donald Trump, that has promised to end these wars. And now it looks like the old regime, Biden, and whoever really is calling the shots here. Some people thought it was Blinken. Tucker Carlson now thinks it's literally the devil. Wouldn't be surprised if that's actually the real kind of case here. But why aren't we getting the warnings here? That's the question that I'm kind of asking myself. What do you guys think? Why aren't we hearing about these larger warnings, since we are involved in a lot of these conflicts as much as Europe is?
Part of the propaganda. I mean, if they tell us the truth, then we might actually do something against it. I think that, I was just looking up why Joe Rogan is trending, and apparently it's because he said that it should be illegal for Biden to get us into a full-fledged war a few months before leaving office, leaving us with that, starting it. So, I think it's the propaganda, Luke. I think that we're just not going to hear about it from our overlords, so they have to hear it from us.
Yeah, that's why you should prepare more than ever, especially when it comes to medical supplies, especially when it comes to just having things on hand that usually is, imported from China. So, I kind of did a lot of videos about how to prepare around the hurricane we had here. And I think the Floridians, there's a reason we have the moniker as proud Florida man. It's because we're pretty crazy. We're pretty wild. We're used to things being pretty crazy. We're used to things being pretty wild, but we're also pretty prepared for everything, as I think our handling of the hurricane and any kind of hurricane that kind of comes our way is a lot better than a lot of other states. We've been to the craziness. A lot of people here have generators. A lot of people here have alternative water supplies. And I think we are the most kind of prepared out there. But if there is larger escalations, if you are listening to this broadcast, I think it would be smart, especially with the way that things are escalating, just to have some extra supplies. I would say prepare like a hurricane's coming, because I think a geopolitical storm is coming.
You know what we don't have? Bunkers.
Yeah.
We don't have bunkers. We don't have underground bunkers. We don't have basements. I think that's kind of important here in Florida.
Yeah, Russia's literally getting, the mass production of a lot of nuclear prepared bunkers that they're building right now for their citizens, and
How
they're
convenient.
placing them all over their country.
Liza, do you think you can build us a few bunkers? Do you think that's something we can task you?
I think we're going to hit water here as soon as we
not a
start
problem.
digging. I think
There's ways to pump it out and actually do it.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Is there a way? Can we get a bunker?
Yeah.
Can we get a crowd-funded bunker?
Listen,
for
Luke,
our
we need
audience
to worry
here,
about
because
your.
if we could GoFundMe this, it would be an interesting project, and then we could teach people how to build their own bunkers.
Liza's
What do you
like,
think, Liza?
I was going to say, how much are we allowed to talk about? Because I gave Luke a tool for his truck for Florida use specifically. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, I think you're fine. You're totally
Okay.
okay. I think the more information we're able to give our audience, the better.
In Florida, we are on a peninsula, so you have basically 3 exits if you want to get out of here. You're going to be on I-95, the Turnpike, or US 27. And those are going to turn into parking lots, and they're going to be absolute mayhem. But there could be a road that's exactly next to it that parallels it that you could get to. Unfortunately, there's a guardrail. And what nobody knows is that you can remove a guardrail with a 1 1/4 socket or a large plumbing wrench. Take the nut off, the bolt off, and take the girder out of the way. And be able to get yourself, safe. I just spilled a drink.
It's okay. We got it.
You would be able to get out of the absolute mayhem and get on the other road and be able to get off of 95 or Turnpike or whatever.
Yeah, if anything happens, I don't think leaving's going to be the best thing, as of course Florida is like a little phallic peninsula, and it's going to be very difficult to kind of make your way out of this place. But Florida, again, a beautiful place filled with a lot of amazing, incredible people that are prepared and ready for everything, as of course it looks like there are a lot of different things being done right now that are absolutely, totally underhanded, as Douglas McGregor just went on social media and announced that France and England are reportedly now in talks to deploy troops to Ukraine if Trump withdraws military support. Now, them kind of talking about it doesn't mean that they will do it, as we are hearing a lot of different sources kind of talk about this specifically today, as it definitely does look like a lot of people are expecting a larger kind of wartime scenario. Europe goes pretty crazy every few kind of decades. So this is why I think it's important to take this seriously. I don't like to fearmonger. I like having people be prepared for whatever comes our way. But I truly do believe with the way that things are kind of unfolding here that things aren't looking good for the general public, for America, for the people of Europe, for the people of the world. And hearing these reports, specifically with them literally trying to tell their businesses to prepare, with their countries trying to, of course, do everything in their power to make sure that this conflict, this larger kind of extortion operation continues, is something that is troublesome for the entire world, as the Ukrainians have been firing advanced American missiles and now UK missiles, specifically the Storm Shadow missiles, into Russia. These have been escalating the situation there. The Russians have responded by sending in their kind of intermediate ballistic missiles into Ukraine, highlighting how, yeah, we have the ability to use a lot of advanced missile systems that you guys can't stop, and we'll meet you when it comes to these larger escalations. And I think only from here there will be a lot more of that, as there are now even discussions happening right now with U.S. officials specifically discussing whether they should be giving nuclear weapons to Ukraine. Yes, you heard that correctly. There are larger discussions right now, literally debating if we should be giving nuclear weapons to Ukraine. This is according to the New York Times and Zero Hedge, that is reporting that the U.S. wants to arm Ukraine with nuclear weapons before Joe Biden leaves office, which will essentially create a larger situation that will absolutely push the red line, absolutely infuriate the Russians, and create a very awful situation that will be met with retaliation. And what will be that retaliation, as now the Ukrainians might potentially even have nukes? That changes the game here. That changes everything. And it truly does kind of leave us in an extremely horrible, difficult situation where Donald Trump probably won't be able to create a peace deal, especially when he has so many people sabotaging it before he's able to, of course, even get it done. So, yeah. Will there be peace in Ukraine? What do you guys think?
Is that a trick question?
Yes.
Yeah, clearly. No, I think that we should use the 25th Amendment as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, why haven't we used it yet? That's what I want to know.
Because everyone knows he's a puppet. Everyone knows he's not really calling the shots here. I think Biden's literally sitting there at this table that they kind of gave him, and he's not calling any of the shots. He's not making any of the decisions. It's someone else above him. It's someone else.
Well, which is
that
why
is
we
more
should
powerful
tie
than
their
him.
hands. Why, like we should just tie their hands with the 25th Amendment. Then at least for that time being, Biden can't be making decisions. And then they've got to get Kamala to do whatever they will, which of course they will. Maybe we can, 25th Amendment her too. I don't know if booze counts for.
They're both puppets. That's the thing. There's also rumors of her thinking about running for president of the United States once again in 4 years as well. And I say, great, absolutely. You got my support,
Yep.
Kamala. I think you would be
Please
a
do.
perfect presidential candidate that would absolutely do very well. Yeah.
Do you think Kamala's going to stay out of rehab long enough? I mean, it seems like she was having some problems before.
A little bit, but I don't think she understands. I mean, who else? The Democrats are in big trouble, especially if they keep running Kamala. But again, she's not calling the shots here. I think her campaign also represented just how completely hijacked the Democratic Party is, and how they're willing to regurgitate the same kind of talking points, regardless of what the American people want or need. So this is something that we have to understand is beyond Joe Biden's control here. Again, Tucker Carlson literally made a statement saying that it's probably evil. It's probably the devil. It's probably Lucifer himself.
I'm going to agree with that.
That's propelling this.
Yeah,
I agree.
that seems about right. Also, how evil that look at our line of succession. It's Biden, Kamala, and then Nancy Pelosi. Like, I'm almost arguing myself out of, don't use the 25th Amendment. It's really, really bad. But also, I think a lot of people don't understand what a nuclear weapon, like everybody hears about a nuclear weapon. We're all like, oh, that's horrible. I invite everybody to go to Hiroshima or Nagasaki. I've been to both. And honestly, the devastation, the museum they have in Hiroshima is just, like you can't understand the amount of just destruction, the utter devastation, and to be giving this tool to somebody that is so unstable like Zelensky to then just escalate the war for what reason? Why can't we just go work out peace? Why can't we just figure this out? Why can't we solve the problem without killing more innocent people? I'm flabbergasted that this is the direction we're going in.
Steph, what do you think about all this? I just asked our audience, do they think that there will be peace in Ukraine or not? It'll be interesting to see what our audience has to say about this, as Donald Trump definitely has a big uphill battle when it comes to stopping a lot of these kind of crazy tensions that are unfolding right now.
It's really hard to tell. I feel like we need to find peace within ourselves. I think that's like where I'm at. That's like what's important to me. Yeah, we can look at like all these things going on, but I think that the most important thing, regardless of what's happening out there, is what's happening inside. What's happening with you? How are you feeling? How are you dealing? We got some stuff we can help you with. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, for me, it's like really, how are you finding your inner peace? Because a lot of these things can be really hard to deal with, and it's very divisive, and it's really it's like, if you think about it in an energetic way, it's how you can get people to put their energy into the fear mongering and the worry and the anxiety, and that is them winning. So if you do that, you're letting them win, and for us to win, it's really to take back our power and to not feel those ways, and to feel uplifted and to feel good and to do things for our society, for our families, for our neighbors, for our people, for ourselves. That's how I feel.
I love that. Homestead and whatnot. Homestead, build families, outbreed, the left, all of that good stuff.
That's cute.
Liza?
That was cute. Outbreed them.
I mean, you have to outbreed the left. It's a problem.
Yeah, but they're doing that for us. I mean, that's not
right.
Even, not even a question.
Look, Kamala's whole campaign thing was how your right to murder your offspring. So yeah, they're literally taking themselves out of the gene pool. I'm not saying it's like they're helping out, I guess.
The same people that believe a fetus in the womb isn't a child are the same people that believe a man can have a child.
This is true. It's a wild ride
confused.
we've been on. Very wild ride these last few months. What's a woman? But we need to elect a woman into the White House. But what is a woman then? How do we know we're electing the right thing if I don't know what a woman is? I don't know. It really has, since the summer of love, I feel like it's just been one wild ride that we've all been on. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, it's always a wild ride, you guys. Yeah.
I just called her out. She's like, "What? Why? Why me?"
Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of things now. I've upgraded my position as button pusher, and I'm doing a lot more at the same time. So
yeah, I see you here online. We're all checking the comments, doing the stuff.
I'll do my best to commentate.
Yeah. The traffic's really bad. Roger Stone will be here in about 30 minutes. So we asked our good friend, Andrew, don't tase me, bro, to fill in here. We're talking about all the crazy geopolitical updates right now, particularly what talks from the United States about sending nuclear weapons to Ukraine. How do you feel about that, Andrew? Are you excited or
what kind
super
of question
excited?
is that? Are you excited? Hey, Andrew, are you excited for the mass murder of a whole bunch of people?
I think
Bring the mic up.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I was waiting in the bullpen like Rob Nen. That's a baseball joke. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go down. I really do think that they are, scared. They're losing power. Globalists losing power. They want to do whatever they can to retain power. But just like with Kamala and their decision whether or not to do some type of fraud on election night, they ultimately didn't do it because they knew that they would just get caught and prosecuted even worse than they might be now under Trump. So I don't think the war is going to happen.
Or this could have been the whole plan all along, and they could have been like, yeah, let Trump win. We're going to just start World War III anyway, and we're going to prevent him from coming into office anyway. And then they were like, we're just going to focus on resources on that rather than, of course, even caring, because it won't even matter, especially with the horrible situation that they're putting us in, potentially because of these demons that are calling the shots here.
I think they knew that Trump was going to win, that they were hamstrung with the election, and they still want to collapse the house of cards that they've been building geopolitically on him and blame it on him. But I don't think World War III is the one that we're truly going to have to worry about. I think they're going to clean that up pretty quickly. The Trump administration is going to settle Russia, Ukraine, going to settle Palestine, Israel. I think that the real house of cards, the real bubble, is the financial bubble. The dollar could be in real trouble with the globalists pulling out the dumping of the treasuries through China, through the rise of BRICS. The dollar could have some serious issues with the financial fraud that's been allowed under previous administrations. So that's that. When people are buying Bitcoin, this is why they're buying Bitcoin. Even under Trump, people are buying Bitcoin more and more because the dollar could have some serious problems.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of big problems for Donald Trump ahead, as I think this is the biggest one. This is the biggest kind of leverage point that you could have over anyone, being like, you better do as we say, or we're just going to start World War III, and we're very close to it, as there's even some talks and consideration about preemptive strikes against Russia by NATO, sending nuclear weapons to Ukraine. And again, I think they're just running out of options, trying to escalate a lot of these things, as Tucker Carlson came out and said that the deep state has decided that World War III is the only way to stop Donald Trump from exposing their crimes. An interesting theory. Here are the comments from Tucker Carlson himself.
I am very concerned that the people who have hated Trump for 8 years and run out of ways to destroy him, indicting him, well, first calling him a racist, spying on him with the federal intel agencies, sicking the FBI on him, trying to put him in prison, then trying to kill him at least twice, probably more, actually, but at least twice. And that those people, out of options, have decided the only way to stop Trump and the disclosure that a Trump administration will bring, once again, disclosure is what they fear, having their crimes revealed, that the only way to stop Trump is with a world war. And so I've been pretty fixated on that for months, probably more than a year. I've just thought a lot about it, and I know a lot of the people involved, and they're very, very, very focused on war. Permanent Washington doesn't care about domestic policy, in case your viewers, I'm sure, know this, but just want to restate it. They don't care about domestic policy. They don't care about fixing the country, closing the borders, ending the drug crisis, getting the cartels out of, the entire Southwest. They don't care about that. What they care about is exercising power abroad, killing people because it makes them feel like God, and making money. And that's where the money is, trillions of dollars. So they care about foreign policy. And I've been concerned and remain concerned that that group of people, which is basically everyone in DC in both parties, wants Trump to take the country to war, either against Russia or, far more likely, Iran.
Yeah, the Iran part is also extremely important, since there have been a lot of very kind of tense, very kind of huge escalatory major moves being made in the Middle East as well. That plays a major kind of role for Donald Trump being more of a kind of a aggressive president like he was previously beforehand. And that, to me, I would absolutely agree with Tucker Carlson, is the larger kind of landscape to look out for with his presidency, as a lot of the people that he's kind of appointing around him are from the old guard, are from the kind of Republican neoconservative wing that have been desperately trying to start any kind of provocation in order to allow us to be to be in war with Iran. I think Iran is the biggest one to look at with Donald Trump, if he's even allowed to be in there, if he's able to, of course, unwind tensions in Europe. But if he's not able to unwind tensions in Europe, that conflict is only going to get more hyperbolic. It's only going to get more crazy. That conflict also now currently involves Iran. The Ukrainians are really not happy with Iran, since Iran has been providing a lot of those drones for the Russians that have been absolutely critically important towards all the fighting that is happening in the region.
Yeah, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If they really struck America with missiles from Russia in retaliation for us giving long-range missiles to Ukraine, that wouldn't spark World War III. Trump is coming to office. What that would do is give him license to round up and imprison all the globalists in the deep state that have been pushing this war for years and years. Just find all of their crimes, put them in jail, and everybody will clap, because nobody wants this war. They couldn't even invade Syria in 2013, 2014, when Obama wanted to do it, because there wasn't popular support. So there's no support in America for a war on Russia. They can't get it done. It's not going to happen. In Iran, Trump has said many, many times that he doesn't want regime change in Iran. Yes, they fed him intel that says, oh, the assassination attempts, or there's squads out there trying to get you from Iran. But even in the face of that, Trump said he doesn't want regime change. He got J.D. Vance to change his tune on quote-unquote regime change in Iran, where J.D. Vance, when he first got the VP nod, he said right on Hannity, oh, we need to be aggressive with Iran. J.D. Vance changed his tune because of Trump. So Trump wants peace in that region too. Yes, the globalists want war, but I don't think they're going to get it.
Look, it's not just the globalists; it's the military-industrial complex, and they own most of Washington. So I think it's like one or both or all of them. I think they're the big they that we always talk about. But yeah, war is super profitable, and so they're going to try this.
I mean, when Luke was alluding to the cabinet of Trump, the worst, or you could say the most neocon type of pick that Trump has put in there was Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. You have to realize Secretary of State controls no forces, no amount of the armed forces. If Rubio had been Secretary of Defense, head of the CIA, something where he's commanding people, he can send people out on missions, he can actually create chaos with manpower, I might be worried. But Rubio's the most neocon guy out there. He got Secretary of State. He didn't get something where he can actually spark a war.
Well, the DOD and CIA head are also pretty hawkish, and they also have a very bad track record, specifically calling for larger escalations inside of Europe as well and other places. I mean, the head of the DOD that was just appointed by Trump was literally talking about preemptive strikes on North Korea.
Jeez.
His biggest thing is he's a hawk on China. And frankly, I think we need to be. Not that we need to start a war, but you saw the video that Xi put out right after Trump was elected. He said, we want to live in peace with America. We don't want problems with America. Because the Chinese have literally already been at war with us for years. They sent us a bioweapon. The Wuhan virus came obviously from China. There was Chinese nationals licking door handles on video all over America. They had shut down internal transportation in China, but they sent us, their citizens, with bioweapons to go lick door handles. Eric Swalwell had a Chinese spy. Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese spy. They send us deadly fentanyl that's killed how many thousands of Americans? So they've been at war with us for many years. They're lucky that Trump doesn't really want war, but we should be hawkish. And Pete Hegseth, something that he said that I like, is when they were running war games in Washington, okay, what happens if we go to war with China? We're losing those war games. I don't want any possible scenario where America could lose a war to anyone. I don't want to go to war, but I like that Hegseth wants us to be prepared and that we can actually stand up and defeat anybody that tried to come against us.
Yeah, Hegseth is very much set against Russia. And a lot of the comments that he made are very similar to John McCain's comments that he campaigned for previously, which is kind of concerning here. He also talked about how the Pentagon should secretly transfer more aggressive weapon systems to Ukraine without even telling anybody. And then you look at Ratcliffe. I mean, that's another one that is very troubling, as well as he argued that the United States should attack Iran and do it with that country in the Middle East that YouTube doesn't like us talking about in conjunction with them.
Radcliffe got that job because of the 52 intelligence heads in Washington. 51 of them condemned Trump, and the only one that didn't was Radcliffe. So he got that job because he was loyal to the president. And then Hegseth, when he was nominated, you had military-industrial contractors coming out in mainstream media publications and saying things like, "Who is this Hegseth guy? He's not qualified. He doesn't." They don't want him to have this position because he is not their guy. He's not a puppet. He doesn't just blindly push war. If he has an agenda that is anti-Russia or anti-China, it's not because he blindly wants war. This guy is actually looking out for the best interests of the United States. And I'm not anti-Putin. I have no real issues with Putin, but America should be America first. And if there's issues that we should negotiate with Putin or negotiate with China, it's best to have peace through strength. That's Trump's motto. And I definitely want to have someone at the table that makes these guys a little nervous. Like, ooh, Trump's got Hegseth in there. What does that guy really want to do? Are we going to have peace or are we going to have war?
I think we've done that since the Bush years, and I don't think it has worked out. I don't think it really worked well for the American people and all the money we keep losing. Because like sometimes, talking tough and talking crazy leads to a lot of crazy situations. And I think it's fair to argue American foreign policy has been absolutely crazy, has been absolutely reckless, and hasn't been in the best interest of the American people. So continuing it doesn't seem like something that is going to be something that's going to be seen as strong. It's going to be seen as, America is doing what America did before. And that's something that, of course, we should stay away from. And I think sending a different message to the world saying, hey, let's negotiate, let's stop this nonsense, let's trade, let's make some money together, let's actually focus on helping out our constituents rather than just saber rattling and bringing us towards closer nuclear annihilation.
I don't think that the intention of Trump is the same as the intention of Bush or the same as Obama or Biden's administration.
Or any of them.
Yeah, and you have to recognize you don't like Radcliffe at the CIA. His boss is Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence. So you have somebody in there that is not a war hawk, that is overseeing all of the national intelligence. I don't think that you'd call Tulsi Gabbard a globalist or a war hawk or anything like that, would you, Luke?
She has a mixed record on a lot of different controversial issues. She's also a part of the CFR. But overall, I think she's a net
that?
positive
Council on Foreign
on Foreign Relations. I think she absolutely is a net positive. But again, when you have someone at the head of the DoD, the CIA, and the Secretary of State office, they could also collude together and work behind the back of Donald Trump, sabotaging a lot of his larger peace efforts, since they have all the kind of larger kind of initiative. They have all the kind of deep state connections, and a lot of these people are compromised and have to act on behalf of the military-industrial complex and the deep state rather than to Donald Trump. And this is why I think Donald Trump putting these people in power that are compromised isn't the smartest of moves. And I think they're going to be working internally, sabotaging a lot of his larger peace deals and initiatives, just like John Bolton sabotaged the peace deal with Korea that has reverted back our relations with them and made them at an all-time low.
I like that you're vigilant on this stuff because while I do support Trump, staunchly pro-Trump, now he's in office, so we should be watching our politicians, making sure they do the right thing. One of the biggest issues I had during Trump's first administration were the QAnon people that trust the plan. Everything's just going to happen. 4D chess. Jeff Sessions is going to mass arrest all of the deep state. And none of that ever happened. It was a lie in order to pacify Trump supporters. So even though Trump won, I do want Trump supporters, everybody that wanted him to win, to be watching the government like a hawk. You get the government you deserve, and if you're not paying attention to them like Luke is, then they can go ahead and do shadowy things. So
And libertarians. I want to shout out to the libertarians who are all over social media complaining about everything Trump does. And I think it's great. I think this is exactly how it should be. They voted for him. Let's let him hold him accountable.
Yeah, some of the people go a little. Dave Smith goes a little too far. Dave Smith, who called Trump a war criminal that should be in jail forever in March, and now wants to dictate policy. Some of the libertarians, there's a reason they were called lolbertarians for years and years and years. These people.
But is he a real libertarian? I mean, I'm
Dave
telling
Smith? That's funny.
it's the joke.
Oh, that's
You know,
funny.
one of the things about China, though, going back to the issue that I think a lot of people don't realize is China owns a lot of the world. And so they build roads all around the world so that those countries then are in debt to them. And when they can't pay back, they owe. They're basically pawns of China. China has also bought a lot of the United States. So there's a lot of 4D chess on behalf of China that I think we're just like, well, we can't, we shouldn't be going to war with them, but we shouldn't. But also, we need to understand that they own and control a lot more than we think they do.
That's facts. No.
Here's more comments from Tucker Carlson on this matter.
A world war. This is not 2002. Iran is now part of a coalition that includes the biggest economies in the world and the largest militaries in the world. So a war with Iran means a war in effect, or by proxy, but still a war with Russia, China, Turkey, and a lot of the rest of the world. So that's a world war. It's not just as simple as we're going to take out their nuclear facilities. Okay, how are you going to do that? And how are you going to ensure that that doesn't destroy the United States in the process? And of course, they don't care whether it destroys the United States. That's the actual answer. They don't care. And if they cared, they would pause and think about it. But anyway, I don't want to be bitter about it. But to me, it's really simple. Anybody who would even consider having a war with Russia or Iran should not be in any position of power at all in this administration or any other administration. It's
Amen.
Super simple. And I think especially Ukraine is so obvious. Now, there is some debate on Iran, and I'm not endorsing Iran. I'm not a Shiite. But there's really no debate at this point about the debacle that has been Ukraine. Ukraine's not going to win. It's just completely destroyed Ukraine. It hasn't crushed Russia. It's really hurt the United States. So anyone who can't say that out loud should not have a job in the federal bureaucracy. So that's my litmus test. It's not about people or personality. Right. Of course, I know them all, as I know you do too, and I like a lot of them. I even like some of the guys I disagree with. one in particular I like very much. Nice guy, good guy. But it's a simple, practical test for whether or not you should wield power. Do you have the requisite wisdom to lead my country? And if you're still defending the war in Ukraine, you do not have the requisite wisdom to lead my country. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. We had warmongers for a very long time. It's enough. We don't need any more of them, in my opinion. We already have ICBM warheads arriving on target, with Russia specifically saying, hey, this is our red line, and the United States is saying, we'll just push that red line, and now Trump is looking to inherit a potential global world war conflict, which, again, is devastating for the world, absolutely insane, and even Lindsey Graham kind of admitted that a lot of this is about money. I think it's a lot deeper than just money personally myself, as Tucker Carlson has also alluded today, larger kind of spiritual ramifications for all of this. And he also previously, when I was talking to him almost last year, specifically detailed publicly how he believes that there are interdimensional kind of demons out there that do tell the federal government what to do, and the federal government is working in cohesion with them. Now, that's his own kind of personal take and understanding of it. I think money is just one simple driver for a lot of people who aren't in tune to a lot of the kind of deeper, more spiritual aspects of this. But these are the comments from Lindsey Graham himself that said the quiet part out loud and revealed what a lot of this is really all about.
Ukraine is still standing. This war is about money. People don't talk much about it. But you know the richest country in all of Europe for rare earth minerals is Ukraine. $2 to $7 trillion worth of minerals that are rare earth minerals, very relevant to the 21st century. Ukraine's ready to do a deal with us, not the Russians. So it's in our interest to make sure that Russia doesn't take over the place. It's the breadbasket of really the developing world. 50% of all the food going to Africa comes out of Ukraine. We can make money and have an economic relationship with Ukraine that'd be very beneficial to us with peace. So Donald Trump's going to do a deal to get our money back, to enrich ourselves with rare earth minerals, a good deal for Ukraine and us, and he's going to bring peace. And Biden's been a disaster when it comes to containing bad guys.
Yeah. Will there be actual peace here? As there's a lot of money also in the war, in the conflict, and I think we're seeing it kind of be expressed to us and bastardized and expanded in many different kind of ways here. But I think there's a reason why the West has kind of cornered Ukraine ever since 2014, and even years before that, even before the Maidan kind of revolution that unfolded there, which a lot of people allege was kind of a soft kind of coup d'etat that now moved Ukraine from the larger sphere of influence away from Russia, that Russia corrupted, that Russia took advantage of, and now towards other countries that look to take advantage of Ukraine, when the conversation should be, hey, you know, Ukraine should actually keep their land. They should keep their natural resources. They should be able to not be exploited by any superpower on the world stage. And if you really do care about Ukraine, like all these war hawks say they do, that are bringing their entire male population down to absolutely a total decline, if you really do care about Ukraine, you would allow them to, of course, be rich. You would allow them to, of course, keep their resources. You would allow them to, of course, be successful on the world stage. But it looks like the future of Ukraine is just prolonged servitude. I got a call from Roger. So
you know where else they said there's rare earth minerals is Afghanistan. So conveniently, all the places that they want to do these wars, we have to be in Ukraine. We have to be in Afghanistan. We gotta protect the rare earth minerals. You know where there's rare earth minerals, by the way? Alaska. Alaska has rare earth minerals, and we don't even go and bother and dig them up.
As we get Roger Stone, we want to tell you about Land of Biltong, one of our sponsors today, and it's a great sponsor. We like working with them. They have really great stuff. Andrew, thank you so much for filling in. Andrew, don't tase me, bro. Where can we find you?
Oh,
really
yeah.
Quick.
I didn't even get an introduction. I'll get an outroduction. You can find me x.com/TheAndrewMeyer. You can get my book, Don't Tase Me, Bro. And as always, you can get the Alex Jones video game that I made at alexjonesgame.com.
All right, check out landofbiltong.com. This is one of our kind of longest sponsors. We're very happy to work with them because they have really great products that we really do like, that we really enjoy. As of course, Biltong is a family-friendly snack, low in carbs and packed with protein, making Biltong the ultimate health snack. Biltong is a great source of iron and serves as a source of several other essential nutrients, including magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, which translates into exceptional gains in all aspects of life. If you follow any high-protein, meat-based diet, Biltong should be an essential part of your diet.
Yeah, exceptional gains. Eat that biltong. I like cooking with it. It's delicious. My favorite is the sausages.
Nope. Check out code WRC for free shipping. And if you purchase more than $45, you could use promo code WRC10 for 10% off of your purchase. Land
Plus
of Biltong
free shipping.
and free shipping. And really great stuff. We really do enjoy it. After hitting the gym, I really like this stuff. It's not filled with a lot of the other kind of bull crap out there. No Atlas, you can't have any. As of course, every time I kind of pull this out, she automatically gives me the puppy dog eyes, as this is some really good premium stuff, and you guys, I think, will enjoy it. Landofbiltong.com is the website, as our guest has now arrived here in studio with us, and he will be joining us very shortly. Steph, we also have some super chats that we should read really quickly.
Yes, we do. All right, Steph's going to read the super chats. Okay, where are they? Here we go. We got Finboy Slick saying, so that's where Clintina's been. Luke is putting her to work to pay his legal bills.
Hey, you know, you got to do what you got to do in desperate times. SaveLukeNow.com is the website, so Clintina can get off the streets and doesn't have to work to pay our legal bills.
And thank you for mysuperchat.com. Bald Head Dim Fool saying, how do we go about preparing ourselves if we live in a city? What products should we have in hand? Medicine, food? This is a great question. And yeah, that's the whole thing about living in cities. It's probably like one of the most difficult places to be for preppers. I'm going to let Liza take this away.
I was going to say, protein and carbohydrates, some of the simplest stuff that you can get and put in your house just as an absolute emergency if there's nothing else is crackers and peanut butter, but you have to get good peanut butter that's not made from garbage. And if you look at any kind of packed meats, it's amazing how the shelf life is on them, and some of the tuna fish that you can even get in the tinfoil packs has a tremendous shelf life. So you want to do that in lots and lots of water.
Absolutely. And filtration systems that we teach you how to make on lukeunfiltered.com through our masterclass. And joining us is the one and only incredible man of mystery, Roger Stone, the man who, of course, talked to Trump so he would run for the presidency of the United States. Roger, thank you so much for joining us. How is that Miami traffic? How are you? And for some of the few people who might not know who you are and live under a rock, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
I'm Roger Stone, and if you don't know who I am, then you really have been living under a rock. Traffic wasn't so bad. It's so much better when your Uber driver speaks English. It's kind of really makes it mucho frio, but it's still like it's 100 degrees inside the car. But not so bad. Great to be with you. I see we have some calm with us, which is great because we have some appointments to talk about, and I may need this.
Oh, yeah.
But generally speaking, I think it's a whole new day in America. It's really amazing. For the last year, if I went to the grocery store, I would wear dark glasses and a hat, and I'd never wear a political T-shirt. Then the day after the election, my wife said, "Hey, can you stop at the grocery store and pick up a few things?" And I said, "Sure." I was wearing this giant shirt that said "Trump for Peace" that Anthony Constantino at Sticker Mule sent me. And I went in, and it was like a different world. I mean, 25, I'm not exaggerating, 25, 28 people came up to me, disproportionately African American, saying, "God, we saved this country. I voted for Trump. I'm so happy we won." It's like a different world.
I've seen the same thing.
World. Yeah, it's amazing.
No, absolutely. There definitely has been a major change, but it definitely does seem like the fight is only beginning, especially with a lot of the kind of underhanded things from the Biden administration right now, with the larger kind of surprises that they're pulling off right now in Ukraine. We were talking about them potentially even now debating using nuclear weapons, preemptive strikes in Ukraine. A lot of this is just sociopathic. A lot of this is just absolutely deranged and crazy. I don't know if you saw Tucker Carlson's comments here and if you would agree with him, but he has now argued that the deep state is deciding to start World War III in order to stop Donald Trump from exposing their crimes. I don't know if you agree with that assessment, but it definitely does look like it, as it seems like these kind of larger escalations are building up towards something grand and might crescendo right before Donald Trump takes office, if he even is allowed to do that, if there's a larger emergency that might even prevent him from getting in there.
If anything, I think Tucker Carlson's understating the situation. I mean, I think, yes, they will, they'll provoke a world war. They will, if they can, they will crash the economy. And on top of that, they're fomenting insurrection. I mean, when the mayor of Denver says, well, you're not going to be deporting any illegals from my city, it reminds me of George Wallace standing in the classroom door, standing in the school door. And that's insurrection, I believe. It's illegal. Thing they've been trying to blame us for the last 2 years. It cannot be tolerated. So, yeah, I think anybody who thinks the fight is over or is too euphoric or too optimistic, I think they underestimate the determination of these unelected globalist elites who are used to running things their way. They have infected the criminal justice system. They've certainly infected the education system. They have infected all facets of American life, and they do not intend to just peacefully turn over power to the man who was overwhelmingly elected. And we have to be prepared for that. It has multiple levels. The worst one we know, potential assassination, still very much on the table. Then, of course, there's the lower echelon resistance. Then there's violent resistance. I mean, I think all of these are still, for the hard left, still on the table.
No, I think anything could happen in between right now and January 20th. I think we are really in a very kind of unpredictable, very uncertain time that doesn't bode well for the American people, and especially the people of Ukraine. We were just talking about how they're getting absolutely screwed over here. The American military-industrial complex and the larger kind of corporate interests are looking at their natural resources. Lindsey Graham is openly bragging about how rich of a country it is in Europe and how we could have control of a lot of their resources after this conflict is kind of over. Will it be over? Again, that's what we've been discussing for over an hour here, and it really is extremely troubling with all the developments, seeing how they're following suit, as a lot of people are now kind of predicting, hey, everything's going to hit the fan in late December. Now, I hope that doesn't happen. I know Trump is kind of doing peace deals and negotiations behind closed doors. I know he's trying to bring a lot of people together. I know he's trying to actually do some kind of larger secret peace accord here. That's the kind of rumblings of what we're hearing here. We'll talk about the appointments in a little bit, because they are some very kind of disappointing appointments. We'll talk about the exact individuals who we still hope to be in there. But what are you hearing kind of behind the scenes here? Because it seems like they're doing everything they can to make it virtually impossible for Trump to implement his larger kind of agenda of ending this larger conflict.
I think you put your finger on it. Look, I don't think the Ukrainians want a world war. I know the Russians don't want a world war. Frankly, they've been waiting for this election on the hopes that we could get a sane leader who was able to negotiate a fair settlement of the peace. We haven't even had peace negotiations or discussions going on. So that kind of tells you the mindset of the current corrupt administration. But Zelensky showing up at Mar-a-Lago is a very good sign that he knows he's losing. I saw Klitschko yesterday saying, oh, no, we're kicking the daylights out of the Russians. Nice try, dude. It is very clear that our State Department is driving this conflict. And there's a couple things that are happening at the same time. We have no formal announcement that Biden gave the go-ahead to use these long-range missiles. That is reported, but it's not sourced. Secondarily, I think many people miss this, but Putin basically unveiled a new class of ICBM missiles, and he didn't load them with warheads, but just to show you, I can hit you and decimate you if you want to play this game. These are missiles that can't be intercepted by a missile defense system. So he continues, I think, to show restraint in the hopes that Donald Trump can broker a peace agreement, which I think he actually can. He's racing against the clock because these people as you saw immediately after his election, what's the first thing Blinken said? We have to get every dollar out the door to Ukraine as quickly as we possibly can.
So they can get their kickback.
That's exactly. That's what the people voted against.
It's exactly what Americans voted against. We had a huge referendum.
I wanted to ask Roger. You've been in this for a long time, and I remember the old movie War Games with Matthew Broderick, where they showed a computer program that launched missiles at everybody, and it figured out for itself that this is a no-win scenario. How much artificial intelligence is really in politics today? Is Donald Trump really using artificial intelligence, and Putin, to your knowledge, are they wargaming things artificially, or are they still doing things the old way?
It's an excellent question. Well, first of all, I categorically deny that I was involved with Youth for Lincoln. That's just not true. But I do remember saying, Abe, maybe you should get rid of the beard, and he didn't like that. No, the truth of the matter is, I think this is something that J.D. Vance, an entire generational change, or I should say generational presence in the party, I think is very valuable. I mean, Trump organization did not have computer terminals at the desks of his executives or his...
But are they wargaming it with a computer? I'll bet they are.
I would imagine that they are. There's a lot of very talented and tech-savvy people involved. So I think...
If you strike an area with a nuke, it's no longer viable. You can't go mine it or refine anything there. It's gone.
That is absolutely true. So, for example, whether abortion is illegal or not is immaterial if we are decimated and turned into charcoal in a thermonuclear war. So I think peace has to be the number one priority over everything else.
I think it's on everybody's, you know.
And then secondarily, of course, is the economy, which I think is the other great vulnerability. They would love to hand Donald Trump a flaming wreck. I think that is their plan.
And they're trying to. They're rushing to have as much money head out the door as possible and continue to wreck the economy.
The other thing I think is weird is that you have Barack Obama and Joe Biden trying to very quickly put things in place to flood the administration with unfireable bureaucrats to try to burrow into the new administration. That's very troubling as well.
Keep the old guard on.
It's going to be interesting to see because I think a lot of the people that Trump is placing in there aren't a lot of his close allies. I think a lot of them are based in kind of neoconservative old Bush era doctrine that previously literally tried to support Hillary Clinton over him in 2016. And I think we really got to be careful of that because I think there's going to be a lot of kind of internal threats. And we have to understand the severity of the situation as I really do believe it was the kind of deep state, the military industrial complex that tried to take out Donald Trump. I think they failed. I think the 2 assassination attempts that we know of, there probably was more, were larger attempts from them in order to sabotage these larger kind of potential peace deals. Now, Joe Rogan talked about a lot of his kind of own concerns about the situation with Ukraine. He's being viciously attacked by these larger kind of political opinions right now, I think very unfairly, as a lot of people, like the former boxer Klitschko, is coming out and saying that he's falling for Putin's propaganda. But no, I think he's resonating and talking about what the average American is feeling and thinking themselves, especially when it comes to these larger kind of escalatory situations that are happening with a lame duck presidency that everyone's just waiting to leave. The American people overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. They voted for him who has promised to end the wars. And now what we are seeing is a subversion of it. It is extremely undemocratic. The Democrats and liberals love to talk about democracy, but what better way to subvert democracy than to give the military-industrial complex exactly what they want and to create a situation that there's no going back from. Here are the comments from Joe Rogan that I thought resonated with a lot of the American people.
Zelensky says Putin is terrified. Fuck you, man. Fuck you people. You fucking people are about to start World War III.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Russia fired a missile today.
Yeah, they fired an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time ever. It's the first time one of those has ever been used.
It's insanity.
It's fucking insanity because those intercontinental ballistic missiles can have nukes on them. This one didn't, but if it does, the whole world changes. And it changes because of the military-industrial complex, and it changes because of the money that's going to Ukraine, and it changes because the outgoing president or whoever the fuck is actually running the country has decided to do something fucking insane. Fucking insane. And we're all sitting there watching it, and people are cheering it on. CNN was saying, like, finally, see what their headline was about Zelensky about Biden giving Zelensky the ability to use long-range missiles. U.S. made long-range. It's not like nobody knows where they came from. It's not like nobody knows we've been funding this. It's a proxy war. The whole thing is fucking insane. It's insane. Come to the negotiation table. Sit down. Work this out. Stop killing everybody.
Yep, Slavic lives matter. They should be cared for. They should be considered. But a lot of them are just using this fake kind of coy, larger kind of propaganda out there that they really care for the Ukrainians, and you don't if you somehow don't cheerlead their larger sacrifice. Are you kidding me? It's a crazy juxtaposition because, you know, I know a lot of people in the region. I talk to a lot of people in the region, and they're saying, we just want this war to be over with. We just want the fighting to stop. We want the death to stop. We just want the bleeding to stop here. An entire generation of young Ukrainian and older Ukrainian men have been absolutely eviscerated and destroyed. When will this stop? Well, hopefully under a Donald Trump presidency. But if you're Donald Trump right now, other than kind of holding secret talks behind the scenes here with a lot of the world leaders, what else can you do here? What else can you kind of do that will motivate the Republicans to actually stop just sitting on their hands here? What's been really interesting here, Roger, is seeing members of the Republican kind of House and the Senate not do anything about this. We're not seeing them raise any concerns about this. And that to me is very troublesome, as of course they should be up in arms. They should be the ones protesting, speaking out and saying, hey, you guys are on your way out. Stop doing this now. And we're not even hearing that from them.
There's no financial motivation for them.
Yeah. Not at all. As of course, a lot of them have been kind of hijacked. A lot of them have been bought off. A lot of them have been put under the thumb of compromise as well. And they're just kind of going along with this. I think a lot of us are just holding our breath until January 20th. I think a lot of us are just hoping and praying that peace prevails, that the suffering stops. And this fighting is brutal. If you look at a lot of the uncensored footage of the front lines of a lot of this, it is absolutely horrific. Drones, they don't take any prisoners. They blow off limbs. Like it's absolutely nothing.
Sorry, those are straight up war crimes, what we've been looking at. You'll see a guy crawling on the ground, missing a leg with a tourniquet on, and someone with a drone, he'll try to surrender, will blow him up, and then you've got people cheering, that.
And they put like death metal behind it, and all this like rock music behind it. It's evil. It's absolutely sinister evil.
If a man has his hands up, he's surrendering, and he's wounded and unarmed, that is straight up a war crime. There's no victory in that. There's no honor in that. That is just raw, pure evil.
Absolutely.
Pure death for the sake of death. I think we would solve this problem altogether if we just, instead of like wars the way they're fought now, we just send the people who are sending us to war. I'd love to see Biden
Put them on
and
an island.
Yeah, Biden and his family go. You go to fight these wars, and then we'll see if you'll actually do it. The reason they can is because they don't send themselves and their family. They send us. They send our children to these wars, and it's bull.
That's like people that don't have children have no business making these types of decisions. If you don't have kids or grandkids, you don't need to have your hand near the button at any point in time ever.
I think you'd make a very different decision if you knew that your kids would be the first ones in that front line.
Yep.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, It's easy to send other people.
Yep. It's going to be something that's going to be extremely difficult for Trump to stop. And I don't know how else we could do it. I don't know what else we could do other than just kind of raise our voice of concern here. I think Joe Rogan speaking out is incredibly important.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad Joe's starting to use my material. I must say, I'm very, very pleased about that. Joe was.
Did he go up in height a little bit now that he has, or not yet?
Well, look, he did have the courage to come out for Trump once he was positive Trump was going to win, which. But look, I think it was additive. I mean, I politics about addition, not subtraction. But at the same time, I think people underestimate Trump. I think that he is a different person than the guy elected in 2017. I think he is much more attuned in several areas. I think, for example, the appointment of Pam Bondi is a very strong appointment. She's going to pursue the exact same agenda that Matt Gaetz would have pursued. I mean, John Brennan, James Comey, Susan Rice, Stephanie Powers, these people are crapping their drawers because they engaged in treason and they know it. and the evidence of that exists, and they know that too. So I think that's a perfect example of where you're going to recalibrate the scales of justice in our justice system.
How do you see this going down?
I think she's going to be very aggressive. I mean, you've already seen speculation that not only was Trump prepared to fire Jack Smith and his entire band of pirates, but he's going to replace them with an investigation into the 2020 election and what happened there. Frankly, I spoke to Speaker Johnson about this a couple of nights ago. We need a House committee to investigate the January 6th House committee. Because it's absolutely clear that Liz Cheney, a war criminal's daughter, suborned perjury, went around witnesses improperly, around their lawyers to get them to lie under oath. This has to be reexamined. People committed crimes. Yet you see Adam Schiff, a man who lies as easily as he breathes, yet recycling yet again. No, we had absolute proof of Russian collusion. We know that high-level Trump campaign officials were sharing polling with Russian intelligence assets. That is a bald-faced lie. The man they're talking about is Paul Manafort, who is Trump's campaign manager. There was no proprietary Trump polling information, so any information that Manafort may have passed on had to be public information you could get from the newspaper. The man they gave it to, Konstantin Kilimnik, who they keep insisting was a Russian intelligence asset, was in fact a U.S. intelligence asset. They just can't help recycling the same lie over and over and over again. What's more disturbing to me is if you're against the Ukraine war, like, say, Tulsi Gabbard, well, then we need to investigate her to see if she's a Russian agent.
Yeah.
James Lankford, I've had it up to here with this guy, by the way. The same guy who sponsored the border security bill that would not have sealed the border, now saying that he doubts her patriotism, that he has questions about her loyalty. Really? That is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. It's a woman who put her life on the line in combat in Iraq and in Kuwait, 4 terms in Congress in the Armed Service Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committee, and he's questioning her patriotism? Really? Outrageous.
Yeah,
Absolutely outrageous.
This is what I'm worried about specifically with what just happened with Matt Gaetz. Because for me, it definitely does seem like the establishment
Matt,
is
I now
kind
have
of
to
seeing blood in the water. I think they have one scalp, and I think they want many other scalps. We saw the left kind of celebrating the ouster of Matt Gaetz, who, again, was one of the kind of more principled anti-war representatives, anti-establishment representatives, a Make America First kind of policy initiative driver that was kind of ousted from this attorney general position here. And it does seem like he's one of a lot of other individuals who are going to be targeted, who are going to be investigated, that there's going to be larger smear campaigns against in order to drive out a lot of the kind of Make America First politicians and representatives like we saw in 2016. Because if you look at what happened in 2016, a lot of the major strong figures like the Flynn's and the Bannons, who of course represented larger populist ideas, they were ousted. They were kicked out. And I fear like we are seeing also a larger internal pressures right now that has worked against Matt Gaetz that soon will be utilized against everyone else, like Tulsi, like RFK Jr., and like other individuals that do promise to rein in a lot of significant change in Trump's kind of new cabinet.
Nobody ever thought that the deep state or the two-party duopoly that had been destroying it was going to go down easy. Yeah. I certainly didn't. But let me say this, because you have a big audience. Folks, if you live in Oklahoma, go online right now and get the phone number for Senator James Lankford's office in either Tulsa or Oklahoma City and call him tomorrow and tell him to cut the crap.
I love when you come on, Roger.
let me.
I think that's giving us too much credit, in all honesty. 3 know that he would swallow. Know that he would swallow.
Pick in line.
Well, and there was. I think he made a selfless decision. He made a very selfless but calculated decision that this was going to become a distraction. It was more important to get justice. I would point out, since they have already argued in court that special counsel appointments are entirely constitutional, well, then Donald Trump should appoint Matt Gaetz as a special counsel to go after those who perpetrated the Russian collusion hoax, and he can start the instant Trump is sworn in.
Yeah, he's not going to go to waste. I was just curious.
No, I think you'll see that he's continued to be in the fight. Now, in all honesty, since his father is one of the wealthiest men in Florida, and since his wife has come also from one of the wealthiest families in the country, I really don't think he needs to be charging people $500 a head for cameo recordings. But so be it.
Do you think he's going to be sworn into the 119th Congress, or is that a done deal?
He has officially announced that he will not be joining the 119th Congress. He has officially said he won't be a congressman, even though he won re-election. So a lot of people are saying that he might have a role in, special investigations under Trump's kind of administration, but also potentially the governor of Florida as well. So
I feel like the governor of Florida is 2 years out. It's a bit of a ways away. 2 years of not serving is a death sentence.
Yeah, other people are saying,
but more importantly, trying to ascertain what the political situation in the state or the country 2 years from now is virtually impossible.
Right.
In politics, a week is a lifetime.
Yes.
2 years not being in office is just...
He'd be a viable candidate for governor, but so would, say, Byron Donalds or a number of others. So you really can't plan that far ahead, I don't think. He's not leaving the fight, that you can be sure of. I think he's been prepared to get out of Congress for some time, in all honesty. I think he did some great things in the House, including getting rid of Kevin McCarthy. That made him very unpopular with about half of his colleagues, but people...
Will there be a special election or somebody just appointed? Because, if it's
I think
appointed...
you're looking at a special election. I spoke to Jimmy Petronis, who's the CFO, the state CFO, who I think is going to jump in that race. And he's got $73 million on hand in his campaign coffers. He's a good man. I think he ultimately wins that seat. We're going to retain the seat of Mike Waltz in North Florida. We will retain the seat of Elise Stefanik, where Anthony Constantino, we spoke about earlier, the CEO of StickerMule.com, has announced today that he will seek that seat. Now you have kind of arcane special election rules in New York. Once Stefanik vacates the seat, the governor would have to call a special election in 90 days. There is no primary in either party. The party leaders get to choose the candidate on a weighted basis. But Constantino's quick out of the gate. And he's already, this is kind of cool. When everybody else was betting against Tesla, when Tesla stock dropped, Anthony Constantino bought a lot of it. When it dropped more, he bought even more of it. Now he's taken almost $3 million that he made on Tesla stock, and he's put it in his congressional campaign committee and says, I'm not taking contributions from anybody. I'm going to be completely self-funded because the only special interest I'm interested in are the taxpayers of my district. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
It's going to be very interesting to see where kind of Matt Gaetz kind of ends up throughout all of this. Other people are talking about that he might take the Senate seat from Rubio. Again, a lot is still particularly unknown here. Yeah. But when it comes to Pam Bondi, his kind of replacement, a lot of people are bringing up concerns, especially with her kind of advocacy for red flag laws. She's talking about limiting the First Amendment as well. She previously campaigned for Jeb Bush. And those are all kind of larger hallmarkers of someone that I would be a little bit careful of. I don't know what you're hearing or seeing behind the scenes here, but are those concerns legitimate, or did she have a kind of change of faith when it comes to her kind of political ideology or backing?
Look, since I know her personally, I have high confidence that she is going to carry out the president's agenda. She's demonstrated her toughness in the impeachment. Go watch her arguments. She decimated the Bidens on the Burisma deal on the floor of the U.S. Senate during the impeachment proceedings. Look, Rick Scott voted for imposed red flag laws. I guess it was a craze at one time. She is going to be very effective, but she knows who the boss is. She's not the boss. Donald Trump is the boss. I think it's a great appointment because I think she's very tough. I think she's going to be fine. Some of that early stuff really doesn't bother me.
What do you think of the appointments so far, since a lot of people are having kind of mixed kind of feelings about everything that's happening here? We have Howard Lutnick that kind of came out and said that Jared Kushner is advising Trump on the future of his administration. I don't know if you're seeing or hearing anything about that, but for me, a lot of these like latest people don't have the best kind of record, don't have the best kind of I would say, backing of Donald Trump and his larger vision that he kind of portrayed to us during the campaign. And I'm specifically talking about, Sebastian Gorka, Dr. Oz, and a lot of these other individuals that kind of make me question how his administration is going to be run, since a lot of people are kind of directly opposed against his larger kind of ideology of making America first.
And just to piggyback off of that, we also have Jimmy Cobb, who says, this one's for Roger. Hey, Roger, what the heck is with all these bum appointments? So it's kind of similar.
That's a super chat from Jimmy Cobb.
Yes, that's
well.
right.
Gorka is a porka and a dorka as far as far as I'm concerned. That one does surprise me. I mean, last time I saw this guy, he was hawking hemorrhoid cream on a TV ad.
Yes, and pain pills.
And where's
What
his
a
monocle?
combination.
The guy should have a monocle and a swagger stick. I don't know where that appointment came from. I find it kind of odd, to be honest with you.
Maybe it's bait.
But again, I think the difference here is everybody knows who's really in charge. So I still think you get the Trump agenda, and people who aren't copacetic with it, people who, when we get started here, are not committed to the revolution, I think they'll get bounced pretty quickly, in all honesty. So I like to see the glass half full. RFK, that takes a lot of guts to take on Big Pharma. Tulsi Gabbard, at the Director of National Intelligence, I think that's a very strong appointment.
Another Democrat.
Yeah, but
they're telling us RFK as a libertarian.
But in her case, a former Democrat who was actually.
So we do have a diverse.
But an independent. By the way, you should read her book about why she left the Democrat Party, and you'll see that it's not an act of expediency. She was elected to the Hawaii House when she was 21 years old. The Democrat Party was the anti-war party of civil liberties at that time. They're not that party anymore. Those who used to follow Truman and Kennedy now follow Marx and Lenin.
Oh. She was endorsed by Rumsfeld. What does that tell you?
Yeah, that's a little odd. But if you look at her, I mean, it's interesting. She has friendly relationships with a number of people in the Congress that she'll admit to you that she's not ideologically attuned with. You got to work with a lot of people to get things done. I think it's among the standout appointments.
I like that about her, that she is able to have conversations and good relationships with people that she's not ideologically in line with. I think that's actually, we need more of that. This whole I'm not going to talk to you because I don't agree with you is ridiculous. That's not what we're supposed to be doing.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I want to see a lot of the more kind of anti-establishment figures in there, and I know a lot of people have been putting up the pressure. The Jack Posobics and the Charlie Kirks and myself and Tim Pool and other people have specifically been talking about Kash Patel as the future.
This is crucial.
Yes.
I think this is This is going to tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
First of all, the idea that Mike Rogers, who was a cheerleader for the Mueller investigation and a defender of the abuses of the surveillance state against Donald Trump, would even be considered for this job is outrageous. I like to think that my Substack piece, which I sent to the president at 12:45 at night, and he responded at 1:15 saying, I did not know a lot of this. And the next day, he came out and said that neither Mike Pompeo or Nikki Haley, both of whom I covered in my story, would not be in his administration. So I'm not claiming credit, but I think I helped bring some of these issues to the fore. Rogers is clearly not going to be the FBI director. There is only one man for this job, one man who conducted the House Intelligence Committee investigation into the Russian collusion hoax. He knows exactly who the perps are. He knows where they are. He knows who they are. He has the testicular fortitude to clean them out. If we don't get Kash Patel, I'm going to be tremendously disappointed. And I think he will get the job, but that's just an opinion.
Does Trump know that? Have you spoken to him?
He very definitely knows that. I think that this is politics. So you always have this kind of swirling rat's nest within the Republican Party that seeks to derail or delay or completely destroy Trump's agenda, but I don't think he's going for it this time. So this will be a key appointment among the most important appointments, in my opinion.
Yeah, Kash Patel is someone that has been a favorite of a lot of the kind of independent media. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the campaign is paying attention to what people are saying online. And I think overwhelmingly, a lot of people are saying Kash Patel is the right person for that job, is the right person to put the FBI in check. Because if we put in another kind of swamp monster in there, Trump has to understand that the FBI is only going to be weaponized against him in that larger position. And I think that's the situation that he really needs to understand by kind of making these concessions, by doing what the establishment wants him to do. He puts himself in a very vulnerable situation. And I think, the people that have tried to take his life are also the same people that are arguing and lobbying against a lot of these people that are going to put them in check. And of course, it's a natural process that's kind of unfolding here. It's fascinating to see. But other than Kash Patel, I mean, I want to see you, Roger. I want to see you as an advisor in the White House. I want to see Flynn. I want to see all the other people who have fought for Donald Trump for so long, that have been punished for doing so. I want to see some kind of retribution for all of you guys. Is there any other way other than just us making this noise online? And are there any other individuals that you want to see within this new administration that you think would be perfect for the few positions that are still open?
Well, first of all, I have no interest in going into government. My interest is in politics, so I prefer to stay on the outside. For example, I enjoyed shooting at Mike Pompeo and exposing his secret plan to kill Julian Assange, his failure to say anything about the 2020 election. His record is one of a deep state quisling. Now, he's a consummate brown noser. That is very clear. Nikki Haley, same thing. Mike Rogers, I enjoyed exposing this guy. His wife has made a fortune as a defense contractor. Now he wants to be the Secretary of Defense. I don't think that was a good idea. So I'd much rather stay outside. I'm much more valuable outside the tent pissing in than inside the tent pissing out. But there are a lot of good people that I would like to see in the administration. People don't understand it's not just the secretary. It's the deputy secretaries, it's the assistant secretaries, it's the next layer down. So that's going to be really crucial. And there are a lot of people with Trump credentials, with America First credentials to fill those jobs. This is something people don't know. But in 2017, the database of people who had worked in the campaign went missing. It was lost by the transition. It disappeared like that. So, and then, of course, Reince Priebus, who I always called Rancid Penis, this guy shows up with a list of Trump-hating rhinos for every job, which is how you got, for example...
The debacle.
Right. It's how you got, what was the acting attorney general?
Barr?
Before him. In any event, it got us Robert Mueller. It got us the Russian collusion hoax. So I think you're going to be, when the smoke clears and you see this whole government, there are going to be a couple people we don't love. But by and large, I think you're going to find that it is reflective of what Trump wants done.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I think we got to take a step back and see how this whole kind of government will be working together. Because having Tulsi Gabbard there specifically, be the one that a lot of these kind of people are going to for these decisions, when she's going to be, writing the briefs, when she's going to be dictating some of the policies here, it does negate a lot of those kind of bad players in there, in my opinion.
Rod Rosenstein was who I was thinking of, or just a deep state rat right down to his underwear.
Yeah. And I think that the true battle is going to be the Senate confirmations. I think the Senate is essentially going to be deciding the future here, and I think the Mitch McConnells and the other kind of deep state CIA connected kind of senators will be going out of their way to try to hurt and undermine a lot of the
what
more
you said
popular
earlier,
strands.
I think, is absolutely crucial, which is people who are keyboard warriors need to understand how much power they have.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I mean, Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen came out and said, well, I'm not sure about some of the president's nominees. And there was so much backlash in Oklahoma and across the country that he immediately retreated and said, well, I'll give the president's nominees the benefit of the doubt. So people need to stay vigilant. And when you see an appointment you don't like, go online and tell them. This is why I urge people to contact Senator Lankford. I mean, to question the integrity or the patriotism or the loyalty of of Tulsi Gabbard. That's outrageous. That's really outrageous.
I agree with that.
Martha, you were saying something. I cut you off. Do you want to continue or no?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question for Roger. I'm sure everybody wants to know. It's a little off topic, but it'll cover every topic that you've talked about. Remember when Nancy Pelosi came public and described to us in vivid terms about how the wrap-up smear works?
Yes.
I'd like to know, what are Trump's plans? Now, to my knowledge, Obama did some things to basically deregulate the media where they could now legally be used as propaganda, as a long arm or a tool of the government. Does Trump and his administration have plans to re-regulate, rein them in, make them operate properly and honestly, and who is going to be appointed that job?
This is very interesting. So the fellow, whose name is Carr, who's now been designated as the FCC chairman, he fully intends to hold these networks where he has specific.
But was it
oversight.
deregulated?
No, I think he still has. I think he still
in
has.
2013, Obama put some stuff in.
Well, yes, in the defense appropriations bill is where they buried that. We got to get the government out of the propaganda business. There's no question about that. But I think that's going to be done. I really do.
But are there any plans for that you know of?
Well, I'm not privy to all of their plans.
Well,
so
it doesn't hurt to ask.
I can't say.
I think independent media has proved itself to be just the key important factor when it came to Donald Trump becoming the president of the United States. And I think when it comes to pushing his larger agenda, there's a reason why Vivek and Elon Musk are going to be launching their own kind of Doge podcast and reporting everything they're doing to social media in order to get the kind of public support behind a lot of Trump's policies. So independent media is going to play a very important role for the future Trump administration. And unlike, the corporate media, we don't read from a script. We're all independent kind of actors here. And I think Trump and a lot of the people around him understand that they need us in order to propel and to sell his larger agenda to the general public. And this is why I think these appointments matter. This is why I think your voice matters. And I think this is why we've been, as outspoken as we have been, because we want the best. We demand the best. We want the best, and America could only be the best if we, of course, put the right people in those positions of power that we don't have to go up against. So everything running smoothly is going to be something that we hope for, but when we take a step back, we're going to see how it all operates. We're going to see all of how it kind of works here. To me, the kind of larger geopolitical escalations right now are the top issue. The U.S. national debt and the economy are the second issue. I would agree with you, Roger, 100%, looking at the larger kind of hallmarkers of everything kind of unfolding here. The United States national debt hitting $36 trillion just a few days ago is a larger marker of a lot of problems that Trump will be dealing with. And I think that's why he's pivoting towards the Bitcoin community. That's why Bitcoin is rallying as much as it is right now. And I think the future with all these kind of larger alternatives, alternative media, alternative currencies, alternative plans and solutions could only work if there's a lot of cohesion, if there's a lot of people kind of coming together and saying, you know what? It's not just the government doing this to us, it's us being a part of it. And I think this is why we need to understand more than ever, your voice matters. So please make it matter. Please speak out, especially on platforms like Twitter, where we know the campaign is paying attention to, the future administration is paying attention to, and this is where we're able to kind of steer this larger kind of crazy ship that is constantly under attack right now by a lot of kind of sabotage efforts. So we're going to move over now to a free speech platform, and we're going to take callers from members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We already have a caller right now ready to call in. We're going to be going to them, and we're going to be talking about specifically what is also happening right now with The Onion and Alex Jones. There's also talks of Elon Musk potentially buying MSNBC and having Alex Jones and Joe Rogan host shows on that particular platform. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more with Roger Stone. Go check him out at the Stone Zone on a lot of the independent media platforms. But the conversation now switches over really quickly. Just give out your social medias, Martha and Liza and Steph.
Bueno for Miami on X and IG. Liza?
Liza Trainer X on X.
This is Steph We Are Change on Instagram, Steph WRC on X. Go check it out.
Luke on thebestpoliticalshow.com is where the conversation continues right now. If you're watching on YouTube, that's where you're going to go right now. Thebestpoliticalshow.com. It continues for a lot longer. Stay tuned for that. We got another super chat here from Kyra saying, why are you saying it like that? I don't know what you're absolutely describing, but we'll get into it. Thebestpoliticalshow.com. See you over there right now, as, of course, the sponsor of this particular